Welcome to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathy and Ozzy Coolhagel of Elite Income Advisors. To our viewers at home, you probably joined us last week. It was our 100th episode, and Prashant and Ozzy presented me with this beautiful crystal swan. I had to bring it on the show this week because I'm so touched. I love it so much. Prashant, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much. And Ozzy, how are you?
We are doing great. Thank you.
Good. It's so good to be back together. And again, thank you both again for this beautiful swan. I absolutely love it. I'm going to have it with me all the time. So today's show, we're going to talk about something very interesting. One of the studies that we've seen is more than half of U.S. wealth belongs to baby boomers. Will other generations catch up? But $156 trillion in assets is what we're talking about today. Prashant, Ozzy, wow, that is a big number. So let's talk a little bit about that, because we're also going to jump into wealth transfer, if you will. So how is this creating a perfect storm?
You know, I think with that much wealth being owned by baby boomers, it's inevitable that at some point in time, some of those people are going to start to pass away, and that wealth is going to transfer. And I think what I look for is when the wealth transfers, who gets paid? Right? Because baby boomers were taught to put the majority of their wealth into really two or three different things. Number one would be like the 401k or the IRA, the pre-tax retirement account. And for baby boomers, that was maybe the best thing to do because they got to take the tax deduction for putting the money in. But then, of course, it becomes taxable on the other side when they go to pull the income out. So we'll talk about that in a second. 401k. But the second thing that baby boomers put money into was real estate. Right?
Wow. Okay.
You might have bought, I mean, how many people do we know just in our client base alone who bought their house for $50,000 or $100,000? Now the house is worth $600,000 or $700,000 or $800,000. We have huge real estate appreciation. And so why does this create a perfect storm of taxation? It's because of something called the Secure Act. Okay, so the Secure Act, what it did is it said that when you transfer your retirement accounts as an inheritance to your non-spouse beneficiary, the beneficiary of your 401k or IRA has only a 10-year period of time to withdraw that retirement account and deplete it to zero. So let's use real numbers here. I got $1 million that I want to leave to my kid, let's say. Previously, under the old laws, let's say my child was 35 years old. They could spread that $1 million tax hit out over the course of their entire lifetime. And if they live to be 90 years old, they could spread $1 million tax hit out over a span of what, 45, 55 years? 55 years in this case, if they live to 90. The new rule is 10 years.
Wow.
10 years. Now you leave $1 million. Your kid has to withdraw that money by the end of the 10th year, which means that they have to increase their income, potentially increase their Medicare, potentially increase tax bracket. Go ahead.
And guess what? Like most of the time what we see is if our clients, like they were successful, they save all this money and so forth, now they're going to leave it to their kids. Their kids are successful. Their kids are doing great. Their kids are making $200,000, $250,000 a year. So they hit the $1 million to divvy up in 55 years versus now they have $1 million in 10 years. So guess what? Now we're going to put our kids into the next tax bracket or whatsoever. It's like, my opinion is like the IRAs are the worst assets to leave it to our kids because it's not tax efficient.
Wow. So what do you do?
A lot of things. A lot of things you can do. Number one, spend your money. Realistically, when you have savers, which is what most of our clients are, they are savers, are really good at saving money. It's oftentimes difficult to shift from a saver's mindset to a spender's mindset. As much as they have a retirement plan that allows them to spend, we find that it's difficult for them to spend. So what we have to do is we have to think about investing in a different way. We know today with certainty that we're in one of the most favorable tax rate environments that we've ever been in. So here's an idea. You have $1 million. Let's say you don't actually need that $1 million to retire. Maybe you have a pension, Social Security that you're living on. Does it make sense to do one of two things? One, actually withdraw that money and pay today's tax rates on it. Because we know what today's rates are.
True.
I don't know what rates are going to be 10 years from now, but I think all of us at this table anyway can probably agree that taxes are going to be higher.
The cheapest tax rate.
Yeah,
ever.
exactly. And so why don't we withdraw some of that money up front at a rate that we know and understand, and then put the after-tax money to use to create more tax-free legacy in the future? So that's number one.
Okay.
Number two is to take advantage of something like a Roth conversion. Okay, folks, a Roth conversion is when you take your fully pre-tax IRA account and you convert it into a Roth status. Of course, a Roth is going to be 100% income tax-free, and there is no required minimum distribution on a Roth IRA. Now, what's the downside to doing a Roth conversion? You have to pay all those taxes in the year that you make the conversion. So if I converted $100,000 of my $1 million IRA to a Roth, that $100,000 is going to show up as income in the year that I convert it. But the way I look at it is, as long as it's not pushing my tax bracket up to a point where my future tax rate is going to be, lower than my current, it makes sense to potentially do that conversion.
Sure.
And so if you haven't talked with your CPA or your retirement advisor about the importance of tax-free income and tax-free legacy planning in retirement, I think that you're missing the mark. What we're going to do is we're going to open up our phone lines. That phone number, 833-308-5200, or you can scan the QR code. You'll be able to schedule a free, that's complimentary, free appointment with our team of retirement specialists. When you come in to visit with us, we're going to help you put together the Retire Smart Roadmap, help you map out your income each and every month, each and every year for the rest of your lifetime, and talk about how you can tax efficiently plan for your retirement. We do have a CPA on staff who works with all of our existing clients when they need help. And that is something that we just provide as a part of our investment advisory and financial planning services. Starts with that phone call, 833-308-5200. Book your complimentary visit today.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you. To the viewers at home, there's a number to call on your screen. That number is 833-308-5200. We can't stress enough that you've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you deserve to have peace of mind. Do you know what your tax implications will be? Do you know what it means to legacy plan? If the answer is no, this is the perfect time for you to call in, 833-308-5200, or if you don't have a pen handy, go ahead, grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Elite Income Advisors landing page. You can schedule your time accordingly. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Retire Smart Maryland. Don't go anywhere. We're talking all about the transfer of wealth, what happens with taxes, legacy planning, and what comes next. Stay tuned.
Before COVID, we were around 4 or 5 people.
It's a pretty tight-knit team that we have.
But now we are growing, and we have about 14 people right now.
It's really 4 or 5 advisors and 4 or 5 support folks, plus an accountant, CPA.
What I'm trying to really create is the family place that everyone loves what they do and enjoys helping the client. My parents, when they had their own company with my father, everybody liked to work because he liked to take care of the people, he likes to help the people, and I'm trying to establish the same thing in our company.
It's very much a team, kind of family-like culture at our company. We hang out outside of work, we care a lot about each other's personal lives as well.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I am joined today by Prashant Sabapathy and Ozzy Coolhagel of Elite Income Advisors. We're talking all about your retirement years. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about tax planning and why that's so important in your retirement. Prashant, I know that a lot of things are circulating and being talked about when it comes to tax planning overall right now. One of the most important things that you wanted to talk about, and Ozzy as well in this segment, would be the changes that are coming on the horizon as far as taxes go. Can we dive in?
Yeah, so look, at the end of 2025, we will see a sunsetting of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So remember, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act puts us in one of the most favorable income tax rate environments that we have ever seen in the United States. All of that is going away at the end of 2025, and January 1 of 2026, we will revert back to the old tax code that we had pre-Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which means potentially higher brackets, taxes, higher tax rates on each bracket, changes in standard deductions where we had lower standard deductions back in 2016, right? We also have to consider changes to Medicare that could be on the horizon. And one thing that the current administration has talked about is this idea of taxing unrealized capital gains. And this one is really, really interesting to both of us. You know, as entrepreneurs, a lot of our clients own businesses just as we do as well. And the thought of taxing unrealized capital gains is really scary to me, right? Think about your real estate. Think about your business. As you're growing your business, it has intrinsic value that you haven't realized as a business owner yet. If they start increasing or taxing that unrealized appreciation, where's that money going to come from, and how is paying that tax going to ultimately affect your retirement, right? Another thing is real estate. Real estate values have gone up like crazy over the last several decades in the United States, which is a great thing if we're trying to buy a house.
Sure.
But what if they start taxing that unrealized appreciation before you ever sell the house?
How are you going to come up with that money is the biggest question.
Absolutely.
Imagine that you paid a house, that's most of our clients, like $250,000. Now it's worth $1 million, and Uncle Sam is going to come. Hey, I want you to pay the tax on the $750,000. What? How am I going to pay for that?
That's true.
So it's a scary thing to be looming because, look, inflation's been in the news a lot.
Of course.
And look, costs and prices have gone up, but
on everything.
Higher taxes is just another form of inflation, right? The higher the tax rate, the less net income that goes into your pocket. We always say you can't spend gross, you can only spend net, right?
Yes.
And when tax rates go up, net income goes down. And when net income goes down, you have to withdraw more from your portfolio to meet your income goals. And the more you withdraw, the greater the risk is that you may run out of income one day. And that's a really scary thing to think about. So we have to start planning proactively about how we're going to safely and reliably increase our income so that when taxes go up and when inflation is higher, we have a plan to give ourselves enough reliable income to live our most fulfilling version of retirement. Income is where it starts and where it ends. In retirement, the higher the income, the better the outcome. That's what we always say.
Sure, that makes sense. Another study that was released recently, Ozzy, I want to talk to you a little bit about this, that less than half of baby boomers have adequate savings. Why do you think that is? I mean, it's kind of scary when you read that. Like, a lot of people are they don't have adequate savings. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So how can that be a domino effect when you're planning for retirement?
I think that what happened is when, back in the days when our parents had the pensions, right? They know they had the pension. All they had to do to save after-tax money. And they were saving a lot of, money. And, they were having the Social Security pension and after-tax money. Right now, what's happening these days is, everyone is putting as much as possible to their 401k because they don't know how much they're going to need, but that's also come back to that they don't have enough money in the banks. And sometimes we, come to this, cases that the people is trying to do, for example, Roth conversions, right? Roth conversions are really important, but how are you going to pay the taxes on the money that you're going to convert it?
Look, I think it comes down to one very simple thing, is that inflation has outpaced wages.
Yes.
Right? Inflation has skyrocketed and wages have not kept up. And so what that results in is people feeling like they have to work longer, they have to save more money, because inherently they don't know where their paycheck is going to end up coming from. And I think that is what it's all about, is baby boomers feel like they haven't saved enough because the pension has gone away. And so the burden of responsibility has shifted. And look, we all remember what happened in 2008, and we've looked back at studies of what happened in the dot-com crisis of 2001 and 2002, and more recently in 2022. I mean, think about 2022, how much money you lost. We saw people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2022, and that's when they came in to visit with us. Really, they should have started that planning for protecting themselves against that loss 5 or 10 years before we ever got to that point. And so I think that is really important. People feel like they haven't saved enough money because they all know that that next market crash is looming somewhere around the corner. Now, I don't know if it's going to be next year, 3 years, 5 or 10 years down the road, but when it happens and you see your 401k value lose 30, 40, 50% like it did back in 07 to 09, the question is, how do I turn that 401k into a paycheck? Because I was always taught, buy low and sell high.
Right.
But the problem is when I take income after losing 50%, I'm not buying low and selling high. I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm selling low, which makes it really difficult to recover. And so that's why I think people are concerned that they haven't saved enough money. It all comes back to figuring out the income equation.
And can you also imagine that, you retired in 2021. You just retired in 2021. You have $1 million, and you're going to take, $40,000 out from that account. And the next thing you know is 2022 comes, the $1 million becomes,
to 800.
800, 700, whatever that number. But you still need to take out $40,000. You're going to have to find a way to create a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life.
No, that makes perfect sense, which is why it's so important to do proper planning for your retirement years. And we talk about this every week on the show, but when you're talking about statistics like this, now another thing that ties in is that it says that people that are the ages of 55 and 64 are spending on average $78,000 a year.
Yep.
That would actually come out to be about $2 million to keep up with this level of annual spending in retirement.
Yeah.
That's incredible when you think about it. That's a scary study that's done.
We have to figure out better ways to create a disproportionately high amount of income relative to our balance, right? So what I mean by that is you have $2 million and you're using that to generate for you $80,000 a year of income. I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of talk lately about the use of annuities, right? Insurance companies have figured out a way in this rate environment to pay you a disproportionately high amount of income for the money that you put in. And if you use something like an annuity, you can maybe carve off of your $2 million, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, and use that to generate all of the income that you need without having the worry of the stock market going down by 30 or 40%. And when you have that kind of income security, it empowers you to grow the rest of your money in the market, taking an appropriate amount of risk that allows you to have sustainable returns to fight inflation. It is just a more efficient way of investing your money. Not all your money belongs in the market, in my opinion. Not all your money belongs in safe annuities. But generally, having a mix of the two allows you income security, which is what it is all about. If you've never explored the idea of income security, give us a call. It's 833-308-5200. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that every one of our listeners needs to immediately go and buy an annuity or go and make all your money safe. But what I am saying is that everybody out there should consider the prospect of safeguarding some of your retirement investment to see whether or not you are operating within your risk tolerance and mapping out your income for the rest of your lifetime. It looks different to different people, but it starts with a phone call, 833-308-5200. It also gives you the opportunity to have a written retirement plan in place. That's going to include an income for life plan to map out your income after taxes and inflation. Number two, it's going to involve a conversation regarding the threat of higher taxes in retirement. And number three, a risk analysis to stress test your portfolio to determine how much risk you're taking and whether or not that is an appropriate amount of risk for you.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, that number to call is on your screen, 833-308-5200. Or if you don't have your pen handy, grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Elite Income Advisors landing page. You can claim your spot accordingly. If you're in the viewing audience today and you're asking yourself, do I have the answers to these questions that we're talking about today? And if the answer is no, this is the perfect opportunity for you to take advantage of claiming that complimentary consultation, find out how much risk you're actually taking, and do proper planning for your retirement years. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Retire Smart Maryland. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more with Prashant and Ozzy when we return.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter, the one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Prashant Sabapathy and Ozzy Coolhagel of Elite Income Advisors. We're talking all about planning for your perfect retirement, your peaceful, holistic retirement years. Gentlemen, another study that was released recently, actually, by Atticus.com said that 2024, the small cost of living increase leaves seniors struggling. So we just spent some time talking about inflation. Ozzy, I should ask you, are you hearing a lot of people come in saying, you know, I need to talk with you because I feel like I'm not making ends meet. I feel like sometimes I have not enough money when it comes to needing it the most?
Yes, because like when we thinking about it, we had like couple big increases on the Social Security, like 8.7%, and some other ones. Like now, when they are hearing is 3.2, that's it, that's all I'm gonna get.
Right.
Because but when you look at the historically, the rate of returns or the COLA increase on the Social Security is about 3%.
Yeah,
that's
just barely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like so like. Everybody was happy when they get the 8.7, but now, do you think that I have enough? It's only 3.2%?
Look, I think the other thing is we have to understand what inflation actually is. So when you read the news and you see that the inflation reading comes out, what is it telling you? When it peaked at 9.1%, what does that truly mean? It means prices year over year rose by 9.1%, but core inflation, a lot of times they strip out the cost of energy and food.
Wow.
Which it feels like energy and food are the two things that we consume the most, right?
Yes.
The other thing that's very misleading is when we see the inflation number comes down, when we see it come down. I mean, the Federal Reserve for years now has been talking about, first it was how inflation was transitory, right? That was the hot buzzword.
Right.
Inflation is transitory. Turns out that wasn't true, right? Was not transitory. It kind of was very sticky. It was there for quite some time. But when we see inflation come down, I think a lot of people in their mind think, okay, prices are going to come down. But that's not what inflation is. When inflation comes down, it just means that prices go up at a slower pace. They're not going to come down. They're just going to go up at a slower pace. And so what is the answer? People always ask us, what is the answer to dealing with inflation? And it's very simple. The answer is more income. I don't know what inflation's going to do. The Federal Reserve has a 2% target for inflation. Will we ever get there? I have no clue. So all we can do is try to control the piece of the puzzle that we can control. Absolutely. And that is, how can I get my income in retirement as high as possible? I want to do that as quickly as possible. But most importantly, I want to do that as safely as possible. Okay, sure. The answer to creating higher income, it does not mean that we have to take a higher risk and get a higher rate of return. Okay. It just means that we need more income security. And there's so many different ways out there to do that. And oftentimes it starts with bucketing your money. I think if you have multiple buckets of money that are designed to do different things, that is what empowers you to have income security in retirement. And it allows you to keep up with cost of living as inflation is present. And it will always be here. The days of 2% inflation, in my opinion, are gone.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be years before we ever get there.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ozzy, talking again about the buckets of money, in case someone's watching for the first time, why is that so important to have the multiple streams, if you will?
You know, Prashant talks about this all the time because, like, we usually talk with the clients that you have to have, you know, money in the market, money in the safe and secure places, and money for the in case of emergencies. And when it comes to in case of emergencies, everyone's numbers are different. When we sit down with our clients, we do ask them, like, how much money in the bank you would like to see and make you comfortable. Some people needs 5,000, some people needs 50,000. And in the same token, when we look at our, you know, income needs, like when we are considering the income needs, we take a look at it. Hey, what if we raise the inflation each and every year 3%? Hypothetically, what should I need for the rest of my life?
Right.
Then try to take care of that in a one bucket. Put some money, you know, as little as possible to generate enough income for the future that you don't have to worry about it. Then our last bucket is put the money in the market. You don't have to worry about it. It's going to go up and down. You're still going to need it because we don't talk about the long-term care yet.
Remember that old saying when people used to say, don't have all your eggs in any one basket?
Yes, I do remember.
You know the reason that's a cliche?
No.
Is because it's true, okay? Everybody should not have all their eggs in any one basket.
Okay.
But I can't tell you how many people come in to visit with us and we find that all their eggs are in one basket. And typically that is a basket that is full of risk.
Yes.
$1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, and it's subject to the loss of 30, 40, 50%. And when you're not properly bucketing your money, what you're creating is you're taking on unnecessary uncertainty.
Yes.
Okay, when you get closer to retirement, when I say closer, I mean when you're 10 years or less away from retirement, the name of the game is not growing your money, it's protecting your money. I always say losses hurt you more than gains help you, and by bucketing your money properly, you can help yourself avoid the big downside, which is what it is all about. Starts with that phone call. Last opportunity for today's program, 833-308-5200. You can scan this QR code as well. When you call in, schedule that free consultation with our team at Elite Income Advisors. Put together that Retire Smart roadmap, map out your income, understand your risk, and evaluate the threat of rising taxes and inflation on your retirement plan.
Prashant, thank you so much. Ozzy, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us today on Retire Smart Maryland. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We'll see you back 1 week from today. Take care now.